but I want to welcome to the program now, and this is his first time on the program, and I'm really excited to have him with me. He is a distinguished writer, political commentary, and he is writing for Washington Times along with a number of other publications as well. I want to welcome to the program national columnist, technology executive, and consultant, and who lives on an Arabian horse farm in Clifton, Virginia. I want to welcome Dr. Lawrence Fedewa. Larry, thanks so much for being here. I appreciate it.
Well, I'm glad to be here.
Well, there's a lot of things to talk about. Now, you wrote a story just a few days ago. There's still a case for Donald Trump. What was that specifically? Give us some of the background of what that was in response to, and your thoughts on that.
Well, it was basically in response to all of the polls that have been coming out, although they're changing a little bit now, but they've been so negative to Trump compared to Hillary Clinton. Mm-hmm. So basically, I felt there were 3 points. The first place, we have to look at the forest and not the trees when it comes to the new presidency. The basic problem is that we're still paying for the Cold War. And even though that was a monumental achievement that we went through that whole period and did not go to war, the fact is nobody really ever talked about the cost, the financial cost. And the financial cost, as you know, was not just the cost of the military, but it was the what I call the no-cost nuclear shield for most of the world. And then also the trade, the free trade, which was free for everybody but us. And those are topics, or those are a position that we simply cannot afford that anymore. The world has changed since 1989, when the Berlin Wall came down. And right now, the United States is not in a position to continue this largesse of taking on all of the financial hardships of the whole world. So the only candidate that, in all of the candidates that we've seen this year, including all of the Republicans, the only candidate that's really put his finger on this problem is Donald Trump. And Donald Trump has taken the position that you would take if you were as a business executive, which is, first of all, you take a hard look at the budget and you say, nothing is out of bounds, nothing is taboo, even NATO or the nuclear shield or any of the other commitments that the United States is paying for. And the second thing you try to do is you try to increase income. And how do you do that? Well, he's suggested a number of ways. One is you stimulate the economy by reducing taxes and regulations, of which, by the way, there are volumes, millions of words that have been produced by the Obama administration and regulations. But in addition to that, he's talked about how to set up a infrastructure fund that would be funded by private investors along the lines, I assume, of a municipal obligation that we have, and a whole number of other things, including this immigration issue. So it seems like the problem is essentially a financial problem. We got a financial guy running. It seems like that makes sense to give him that job. And the second issue is basically look at the competition. I wrote another column in which I said that Jim Comey was on the 4th of July, he could have become a version of Patrick Henry or Nathan Hale, but instead he decided to become like Benedict Arnold. He gave all the reasons to indict Hillary Clinton, and then said he
Right.
couldn't do it. Right. So we have basically a criminal that's trying to run for president on the other side, and Donald Trump never did any of the kinds of things that she's accused of doing. And
Well,
finally, what about his fitness? And I believe that when Ben Carson tells me that he is learning fast and he's learning how to operate in this political environment, I believe Ben Carson. I think he's a very trustworthy guy. So that's the nut of the article.
You know, it is interesting that there doesn't seem to be media that is willing to create that kind of, okay, let's look at pros and cons, really look at pros and cons. I mean, I'll tell you, Larry, I was a Ted Cruz supporter, but I am a constitutional conservative. I believe that we are a Judeo-Christian nation, that we were founded as a Judeo-Christian nation. And I believe that Sam Adams, or John Adams, when he said that our Constitution is fit only for a moral people, I really believe that is important. And I think we've lost our way when it comes to those kinds of issues, when we're a nation that embraces abortion, when we're a nation that embraces changing gender identification, when we change the family structure. These are not the kinds of stable foundations that create a culture that will continue. And so many have had questions about where Mr. Trump is with regards to some of those issues. But again, no one is lining up Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump and going down a list and saying, okay, well, here's who she is, not only who she was, but the things that she is propagating today, such as the Clinton Foundation.
Oh, that's terrible.
I mean, my goodness, talk about stealing money. Look at all the money they stole from the Haitian people.
And that's
Billions.
Part. I mean, that is a national scandal, and anybody associated with that should be running for president is it's inconceivable,
Yeah.
Really.
No, I agree with you. I absolutely agree with you. The other side to this is look at the immorality that she continues to propagate. She's talking about, protecting women's rights, while at the same time continuing unmercifully to attack any woman who talks about what her husband has done to them.
Yeah, that's the irony, huh?
It's horrific. It's absolutely horrific. And then we have, of course, the email scandal, and of course everybody wants to kind of poo-poo that away, but the email scandal relates specifically, having been in the United States Air Force. I was a Russian linguist. I have a number of friends that were a part of the intelligence community, and knowing what I know about how sensitive and how important it is that information not see the light of day because of the strategies associated with it and the protection of our country and lives that are at stake. For her to have allowed that to come out, there are people who have likely died, Larry, as a result of her negligence, and I think intentional negligence that we'll never know about.
Well, she went to this whole elaborate subterfuge to protect her relationships with the foundation, and the foundation was basically a vehicle by which foreign countries and foreign individuals could buy influence with the Secretary of State, and they made hundreds of millions of dollars doing it. It's just, and now that's the person that they want to have to sell the whole U.S. government, I guess. It's just terrible.
Well, not to mention what happened with Benghazi, and again, I can't. It's beyond me to understand why no one cares, and why there's this apathy to it. And I might mention to you, and folks, if you're listening right now, the American University of Afghanistan is under attack right now. Students and staff are sheltering in place. I ask you to be praying for our American friends, for Americans that are at the American University of Afghanistan, which is currently under attack. Explosions and gunfire have rung out in Kabul, in what a police commander describes as a complex attack. And do you think we're probably sending forces in? Are we rolling our men into that? Not under this administration, not under this resident that has usurped our White House. He lets our people die. That blood's going to be on his hands forever, Larry, I think.
Well, it should be. He has been a complete disaster. I watched the program, the biography of Ronald Reagan last night, and boy, what a contrast. Although there are some similarities, the charm, the eloquence, the stage presence.
Right.
But what the character? Oh my God! This is the guy that felt like he absolutely had to tell the whole world that he had dementia, because he felt that was the thing that had to be done because it might help other people. I mean, a proud man like that.
Right. Well, someone who puts others first, someone who recognizes that the role of the President of the United States, yes, he's a leader, but he's also a servant, because that's how our founding fathers set up our government. These individuals that sit at Congress and sit in the House and in the Senate, and every single one of them, whether they're employed or voted into place, they work for the people. And that has been lost, Larry.
Yeah, that always was a very ambitious goal, but at least we tried to do it in our official discourse and in our private thoughts and conversation. But it's one thing to have an ideal and not always live up to it, and it's another thing to just throw away the ideal, not even pretend.
Thank you. No, I'm agreeing. Thank you. Thank you for saying that, because that's the issue. I mean, it's the same thing when we talk about, we're all sinners. We all make mistakes. But Scripture talks about a repentant heart. So the difference between that is someone who calls evil good and good evil, versus someone who recognizes when they stumble and fall and do something that's wrong and says, doggone, I need to not do that anymore. I need to get back up and change the way I live my life. I need to, you don't see, the drunks or the addicts running around saying, yeah, it's a good thing I'm glad I'm an addict, or I'm glad I'm a drunk.
Well, it's also important for people that are in public life, when they do make these mistakes, to actually come out and apologize for it and own it.
Yep.
And boy, that's something that's been lost in this administration.
Well, because nothing is anyone's fault. There's no personal responsibility anymore. Larry, you've been writing for a number of years. You have watched these transitions. One of the things this administration said that they were going to be is the most transparent and open administration in our history. What kind of a grade would you give them for that?
I think they failed on that. They get a big fat F. They are secretive. They do not tell the truth. When they do talk, they don't tell the truth. And then when something goes wrong, they blame the Republicans. I mean, it's a web of deceit and suspicion, which, by the way, has gone into their political philosophy as well. I mean, their political tactics as well. I wrote a column about the white vote, and it basically was pointing out that there's this natural human kind of inclination to be in a tribe, which is bigger than a family and it's smaller than a country. It's a tribe that's of other people like you. They look like you. They talk like you. Many times think like you. And what we were doing, the great American ideal was to try to take all the tribes and let them unite in a single cause for personal freedom and tolerance and justice and defense, mutual defense. And what has happened with the whole Obama tactic was to re-tribalize America into the blacks and the whites and the old and the young and the Asians and the Indians and the immigrants and the natives, and all these separate. He tried to separate all these people so that he could get a number of these tribes to support him in a coalition and put him in the presidency. And unfortunately, he was very successful. And now we've got the worst race relations we've ever had, at least in my lifetime. Yeah. And it's just it's really a scary scenario when you think of another 8 years like this.
Well, he fooled people into believing the lies. He took Lyndon Johnson's lies and the efforts of the Democrat Party then to convince minorities and the blacks and women that somehow the Democrat Party was the home and was the defender. And the irony of that is it hadn't been but years, and it was even during the time that he was trying to convince them of that you had the Democrat Party's Ku Klux Klan running around, slaughtering blacks, burning down their homes, and hanging them in effigy. I mean, this is what was going on, and the same guy who was associated with and a part of all of that was then trying to convince the blacks that he was their friend. It's mind-boggling. And now you've got Obama, who has taken that to an entirely new level.
Yeah, to the point where we now have a balkanized, tribalized society that somebody's trying to put back together again. And I think that's really the source of Donald Trump's popularity, because he, oddly enough, this white billionaire, is able to look out and start talking to people as though they're all people and Americans. And it started with the white. I think he's right. The critics are right about that. I think that it did start with the white tribe, and gave them a voice that they haven't had in a long time. But now he's really reaching out to all of the other tribes. He met with the Hispanic leaders here a couple days ago, and he made an impassioned plea in Michigan for the black, the African American vote and so on. I think he's reaching out. He's trying to bring people back together again on the basis of the economy, the jobs, the freedom from regulation and from taxation. And God bless him if he can really do that.
Well, we'll certainly have to see. I know that there was a little bit of a shift in his language about immigration. Hopefully that doesn't take away from the grassroots efforts that have been so much a part of this. Although again, you have to really listen carefully to the words that are being used and what he's actually saying, and not just look at the headlines in order to understand it. Just like with the having the baby removed from from a rally, which wasn't the case at all. And so you really have to be careful. This media bias is a very deadly thing, and I'm grateful, Larry, for individuals such as yourself writing for the Times and getting the truth out there. We've only got about a minute left. Best place for folks to catch up with you?
I just got a new Tumblr account.
Okay.
So it's, just to show everybody that I'm really with it. It's Lawrence Fedewa, all one word, at tumblr.com.
All right, Lawrence Fedewa.
Tumblr.
Okay.
Fedewa.
All right, Lawrence Fedewa, and that's at Tumblr. And you can follow him over there. You can also follow him now. You're kind of doing a little bit to keep up your Twitter account. I noticed that.
Yeah, I really got. My daughter's in the as a publicist, and she got after me, so I'm doing a little tweeting now too.
A little tweeting going on as well. There you go, my friend. All right, excellent. Lawrence, thanks so much for being with me today, and thanks for all that you write to give us insight and understanding. I greatly appreciate it.
Well, I hope to talk to you again. Bye bye.
I hope to have you on the program again. Thank you very much.